I'm in a weird place in that I really quite love Francis Ford Coppola's Dementia 13. I think it is kind of brilliant. I also find its production history enchanting, and it strikes a nerve in me, really triggers some of my deeply held principles regarding the creative process, artistry, and, if I go too crazy, Jungian synchronicity. I'm at a loss as to how to describe this film's plot at large. It opens brilliantly, and modestly. One John Halloran and his younger wife Louise are out rowing in the middle of a lake one night, quite late out. Louise is seemingly upset and greedy over the nature of the Halloran inheritance. Their argument escalates and John suffers a heart attack. John, before passing, teases Louise with the knowledge that she will receive no inheritance money if he dies before his mother. And so John passes on. Louise throws his body over the side of the boat. She seems to visit the Halloran family in Ireland, while she claims John is away on some business. And then we are perhaps pleasantly surprised to witness a film which is not really about the conclusion of this thread, not in the manner you would expect at all. This becomes a narrative about the skeletons in the Halloran family closet. A bit like another iconic film which I've been meaning to do an FOTD on, but the thought also overwhelms me ferociously. Also, the eventual absurdity of this plot recalls how convoluted countless Italian horror films of the 70s and 80s are. Has anyone seen Lucio Fulci's The House by the River? What is even the plot synopsis of that film? The one other facet of this film's plot I will share is the appearance of Dr. Patrick Magee as Dr. Justin Caleb. Magee is a very pleasant character actor whom you may recognise across certain British films such as The Servant, Zulu, and Seance on a Wet Afternoon. Oh, most famously is his role in A Clockwork Orange. Try the wine! Remember? Yeah, you remember. So yes, I hinted that I would describe my fascination with this film's production process, and you'll just have to be subjected to that. A young, excited, slimmer Francis Ford Coppola worked as a sound operator on Roger Corman's 1963 film The Young Racers, which was a racing picture starring William Campbell and Patrick Magee. The Young Racers was shot across multiple different countries and production was completed in Ireland. Corman, the efficient genius, still had $22,000 of the film's $165,000 budget left over. Given the circumstances of his own schedule, Corman offered that Coppola remain in Ireland with a small film crew, including actors Campbell and Magee, and direct a low-budget horror picture, with Corman acting as its producer. Francis Ford Coppola has claimed that Corman requested he create essentially a psycho-derivative. So that explains that, and gives away something else. Before Corman departed for America, Coppola pitched him his ideas for Dementia 13, and Corman responded by handing over the entirety of the $22,000 to Coppola. Coppola then apparently pre-sold the film's European rights to producer Raymond Strauss behind Corman's back. Receiving an additional $20,000 for this transaction, Coppola got to work on directing Dementia 13. Filming at One Howth Castle in Dublin, Coppola would keep the America-based Corman updated on the production, describing in letters, disingenuously, the levels of sex and violence which would appear in the film. Coppola quite evidently wanted to make the film he wanted to make, and he knew that whatever he would make, Corman would hate it, and so he just opted to string him along. Anyone who has directed a film while some bloke fly is breathing down your neck knows what this is like. Trying to appease some cynical git with no confidence in your ability as an artist, only confidence in the belief that the world is a cold, dead place and your work is only as good as other people say/pay it to be. I absolutely hate the business of film production insofar as it gravitates around all creativity is reduced to the absolutely vile banality that is the pitch. Fuck, that thought takes my mind to some dark places. Picture this, slick-suited morons, it'll be this and that, and it'll splash and dazzle, and the stupid masses will love it. Well, it's interesting, but will it get them off their tractors? I hate to crap on Corman, but he comes across as a cunt here. And subsequently, let's continue with my incensed paraphrasing of this film's production circumstances. And so, as we know, Francis Coppola had been left entirely to his devices whilst directing Dementia 13 without interference of any kind from Corman. Of course, eventually the film was completed and screened for producer Corman. It is said that Roger Corman stormed out of the projection room and demanded that multiple changes be made to the film. Coppola was rather perturbed by these bitter demands. Coppola is quoted as saying that Corman, quote, insisted on dubbing the picture the way he wanted it, adding voiceovers to simplify some of the scenes. Worse, he wanted extra violence added, another axe murder at least. There is a sequence in this film featuring a hunter, which was added on Corman's request, and directed by his good buddy Jack Hill. Not to spoil anything, I mean yes, to spoil something, this sequence ends with that, another axe murder. Fortunately, as far as I know, this was the only diversion in the film from Coppola's original pure vision. I actually enjoyed the sequence. It does distract from the main plot, but this is Dementia 13 we're talking about, so... Here's some advice I want to give. It might apply to some of you. Someone who advises you to stay true to your artistic integrity might suggest you emulate Coppola. And someone who advises you to treat the world as a matter of should. Get a job, make money, buy materials, feel like you're happier than those who make less money than you, blah blah blah. Might suggest you emulate Coppola as well. Coppola has only ever done what he wanted to do. And look at that career. Few have a more envious career than Coppola's, regardless of how one might feel about its quality control as a filmography. Overall, I mean. Nevertheless, Coppola never compromised. He did whatever he wanted. And if you want to commit yourself to the distressing dimension of art, so ought you. Yeah, I know 1997's Jack is the elephant in the room, but according to Coppola, he was happy just to make what he perceived as a friendly film for children. I mean, that is kind of an oversight, that a film like that is, fit for release at all, but whatever.